My name is Deneen White, and I am the host of the Coffee in the Green Room podcast. Here in the Green Room, we have those conversations you may not have out in front of people, you have behind the scenes before you take the stage. And I am so excited to have Michael Poggi on the podcast today. Hi, Michael. How are you today?
Hey, good to see you, Deneen. Thanks for having me today.
It's great to see you too. So, Michael, can you tell everyone just a little bit about your background before we get into the interview?
Absolutely. As a young man, I grew up in South Chicago, and my first real successful career was working downtown Chicago as a stockbroker. So I got to learn a lot about what people invest in and what makes them lose money and how people don't get to retire from buying and holding stocks and mutual funds, and then, of course, bonds and annuities, which are too low of a return. So I ended up becoming a very high-powered stockbroker and then eventually buying my own brokerage firm and helped a lot of people invest their money into stocks and mutual funds. And I quickly realized that most of my clients had 90% of their money in real estate and only 10% or less in the stock market, the wealthiest ones. Yeah. And they're the ones that got ahead the farthest because the money they put in the stock market was considered their gambling money because it was so volatile being in stocks and mutual funds, and there's just no guarantee that they would ever get ahead.
Awesome. So I'm guessing that that's what sparked your interest in vacant lot of investing and led you to create the program that you have today.
Yeah, you nailed it. I got a chance to start spending time with my wealthy investors who were usually my father's age, and they had already built a great retirement amount of 10, 20, 30 million. And they were showing me that they had their money in apartment buildings for obviously cash flow and new construction homes and vacant land. So I started to learn from them, from my clients. I learned from my clients as a stockbroker how to become wealthy as an investor, and it was not in stocks and mutual funds. So after 9 years of being in the stockbroker's business, I sold my brokerage firm, and that's when I moved to South Florida near Fort Lauderdale to start my investment career into real estate. So I started to practice with everything. So I've built many homes and have flipped several hundred homes and have been an owner of Airbnbs. And of course, my biggest successes have come from buying vacant lots. I'm talking about quarter acre buildable vacant lots in fast growing resort communities. That's been my biggest success, where I was able to do all of that tax-free using a real estate IRA.
Wow. So and you created a whole program around this. So can you talk about your turnkey program and how it allows investors to leverage their LLC or retirement funds to invest in the vacant lots?
Yeah, when I first started and I have had my system perfect, I started to teach people in courses and books and things like that. For example, here's a copy of my book that's on Amazon called Build Wealth Tax Free. And the funny thing was that although people like to learn how to make money in vacant lots, no one really wants to go through the process of having to do it themselves. So it turned into a done-for-you program where it used to be courses available for sale. And I realized that people said, hey, Mike, I'm busy. I'm a dentist. I'm a veterinarian. I'm a doctor. I don't have time to go out and negotiate pricing on vacant lots or do research or check for liens or check the topography to make sure the lot is buildable and find the right subdivision. So why can't I just hire you? So that's what happened. My family and my friends. And then all of a sudden, many of my investor clients asked me to help them to find quarter acre buildable lots in resorts, just like I did for myself. So it became a very big turnkey business where now we help hundreds of clients every month to go into cheap quarter acre buildable lots, like around 12 to 13 grand in that price range, when they're worth 15 or 20 already, meaning that we're getting them wholesale because we're negotiating with thousands of sellers a month to try to find good deals.
Okay. Well, what are the main benefits in investing in a vacant lot versus other asset classes?
Yeah, good question. You know, we all know that having a rental property is a pain in the neck because you have tenants, you have toilets, you have complaints, repairs. So although I did that and I liked it, I realized that there's got to be an easier way. So when I buy vacant lots and I hold those, there's nothing to do. As a matter of fact, I even have changed my strategy to find vacant lots that are only wooded, meaning no grass, only trees. So I don't even have to have the lawn mowed every 2 weeks. Instead, there's nothing to do. So I can buy land and have it appreciate, where I've been getting about 20% return a year on my vacant lots. So I've been getting a double, 100% gain about every 5 years on the vacant lots that I buy in fast-growing resorts. And so without having any headaches, meaning no tenants and no repairs, I can just let the land grow in value and do what I enjoy, which is traveling. And then from there, when I go to sell my vacant lots to create cash flow, I sell them on terms. So then I become the bank. And that allows me to create massive passive income from people paying me for land that I own. And I'm collecting 10% interest. So not only am I doubling my money in 5 years or less, I'm collecting an additional 10% more, which is unheard of. So that kind of return beat all of my stock portfolios and all of my mutual funds. And I realized that I didn't want to take risk anymore in the stock market or mutual funds. So I went ahead and liquidated everything that I had and put it all into vacant lots. And I do pretty much most of it tax-free in my self-directed Roth IRA, where I used to do it in my LLC. So once I learned that if I make profits tax-free, then I can get ahead 10 times faster by using a retirement account, like an old 401k plan or even a current 401k plan, to get tax-free results.
That's really interesting. I've never thought about doing something like this, and I'm sure my audience is learning a lot too. So how do you target the locations, and how do you know that they're ideal for this strategy?
Yeah, so what I did first many years ago was hire a research company to find me a subdivision in the United States that met all of my criteria, meaning my criteria is below 20 grand. I don't want to buy any vacant lots above 20 grand. They have to have an established infrastructure in place. So they have to have roads, they have to have internet, they have to have electricity nearby, and good schools and banks and restaurants and churches, and also at least 5 to 10% built out, meaning that there has to be at least some houses in the subdivision. Otherwise, if it's too soon, then there may be no roads, there may be no Walmart, there may be no internet, and that's way too soon. In order to make money in our lifetime, we don't want to be the last one to buy a lot in the neighborhood, but we also don't want to be the first one to buy a lot in the neighborhood. So we end up following that exact criteria. They have to be quarter acre, they have to be buildable, they have to be on paved roads, they have to have utilities nearby, and they have to have low taxes and also low cost of living. So believe it or not, that's not Florida. So even though I live in Florida, I don't buy any vacant lots in Florida anymore, even though I did well with most of them. I do much better outside of Florida in resort areas where my research department has given me all of the criteria that I asked for. So now I stay specifically in resort communities that I can buy lots for 10 or 20 grand and hold on to them for a short time and either flip them for cash or flip them on terms and collect 100% payments every single month for someone that I'm the bank for.
That's really cool. This is like, it's again, like you drive around and you see vacant lots, but I never think, oh my God, there's so much profit. Unless like if I'm in the city, I see a vacant lot, I'm like, oh wow, that could be a parking lot. That could be a parking garage. You make a lot of money that way, but I never thought of this. This is like, you're blowing my mind right now, sir. So, how does your team source and evaluate specific land parcels for this program?
Yeah, so what we do is we first, of course, use our research to find the right subdivision, which right now we're buying in Arkansas, right next to right next to Walmart's headquarters in a subdivision called Bella Vista. And what we're doing is we're sending out offers to people that own vacant lots in the subdivision. For example, every month we'll send out 5,000 or 6,000 offers. Now, by sending out that many offers, obviously some people are going to send back a yes, saying that yes, they will sell us their lot. If they say yes, then our research team goes to work and looks at the lot. We have someone who lives in a neighborhood who checks on it to see if it's the kind of lot that I would like. And then, of course, we check for liens. We make sure that it's a quarter acre. We then negotiate with the seller. And then if the seller agrees to our price, which is below market value, then we go ahead and close on it, and then it gets moved into people's accounts that have asked me to help them. So maybe it's a friend or an investor that wants help. We find them the vacant lots, and then we transfer the deed into their LLC or their IRA or whatever it is, their old 401k plan, and make sure that they own it free and clear.
So what's the typical process and timeline from purchase to sale for the investors?
Yeah, typically short. I mean, if someone said, okay, Mike, I want to put 100 grand into vacant lot, that equals 8 vacant lots at 12 grand each approximately. So then our team would go to work and start looking at the offers that are coming back in, where people would say, yes, I'll sell you my lot. And then we do our due diligence. We make sure if it fits our criteria, we close on it, and then we can move it into their portfolio within a week or two. It goes by pretty quick.
Wow, I would never think of real estate and quick in the same sentence. That's great that you're able to do that. All right. Well, what type of returns on investment have you generated for yourself in the past?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. When I first started, the first resort community that I invested in was in Texas, in Austin, called Lago Vista. And I bought hundreds and hundreds of lots in there over the course of a couple of years. And I paid about $9,000 or $10,000 for those. And I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea if they would go up 10% a year or 5% a year. Well, they don't always go up every single year, but they typically average about 20% a year in gain. So about 4.5 to 5 years later, they were about 18 or 20,000. And I went ahead and I started to sell those at double my money. So I made 20% a year compared to what I was making in the stock market or mutual funds. And it just blew that away. Plus, it's a hard asset. So once I sold those, instead of selling them for 18,000 for cash and being done, I went ahead and advertised them many different ways. For example, Craigslist and ads in the newspaper back in the old days, and online ads and so on. And it would say, quarter-acre buildable lot for sale in a resort community with paved roads and good schools and all that good stuff. And then it would say 0 down, 100% financing, no credit check, everyone approved. And that got me 80 phone calls in a couple of weeks. So
I can only imagine.
80 people said, Mike, I have no money, I have bad credit, and I'd love to buy your vacant lot from you. So that's perfect, because as long as they can prove the mean that they have a job and they can make the payment, then it doesn't matter what their credit is, and it doesn't matter if they even have a down payment. Because if they were to default and stop making payments to me, I still have the deed. So they don't own the land until they make their last payment. And that's no different than like an automobile. Like when you buy a car and you put a down payment down, you don't get the title to your car until you've made your last payment. So when I sold all those lots on terms, I was bringing in 80,000 to 100,000 a month in passive income, meaning hundreds of people paying me $400 a month, which was 10% interest. So I actually got to double my money and make 10% more. So I got paid twice, and I did it in my Roth IRA, which means I got to keep every single penny of the profit and every single penny of the interest.
You're a smart guy. You're someone people need to hang out with, Michael Poggi. This is like, I'm listening to this, and my aunt has two parcels of land in Maine that she bought. It's very similar to what you're talking about. And they go and they get to cut the land and different things like that. So this is, and again, I never thought in like resort communities before. You mentioned Bella Vista, Arkansas. What makes that such an ideal location for this vacant land investment strategy?
Yeah, so when I paid my research department $8,000 to find me the 5 best resort communities in the country, Bella Vista came up as number 1. And it's because that it has 8 lakes, 7 golf courses, 5 swimming pools, 12 tennis courts, and it's growing very rapidly. And it's right next to Walmart's headquarters and Tyson Foods, who makes chicken and pork, right next to their headquarters. Now, why would Walmart buy there? And why would Tyson Foods, put their headquarters there? Mainly because the cost of the land is cheaper in Arkansas. The taxes are lower than anywhere else. The cost of living is lower than anywhere else. And there's tons of people moving there that not only work at the Walmart headquarters or Tyson Foods, but also want to buy a piece of land in a resort that they don't have to build on it if they don't want to. They can use the land just for the amenities. So a person that's going to buy a lot in Bella Vista doesn't have to buy it because they want to build a house there right now. Where when I was buying lots in Florida, Deneen, I would buy a lot in Florida and there would be no amenities or no lakes and golf courses. So when someone wanted to buy it, they were buying it just to build a house. So my market was so small, it had to be someone where a husband and wife said, yes, this lot right here, I want to build my home on it, so I'll buy it. Rather than a million people looking at it saying, hey, I want to buy this lot so I can use the lakes and the golf courses, or just for the investment. So your market is much, much, much bigger. So when you put a lot for sale in a resort community, it sells much faster than a lot in just a regular subdivision that has no amenities or no vacation stuff to do there.
Huh. I would have never thought to do that. Okay, so what specific areas of Bella Vista do you target for land parcels?
Yeah, all of the whole subdivision. The subdivision is massive. It's the size of like Fort Lauderdale. It's 65 square miles, so it takes 3 days just to drive through it all. It's like its own city, really. And so let me be more specific, though. So I buy everywhere in the subdivision except for on the golf courses or on the lakes. I tried that, and if I bought a lot on the lake for $100,000, and then 5 years later I wanted to double my money and sell it for $200,000, just imagine how long it takes to find a buyer that has $200,000. It's not so easy. So it would take 2.5 years to sell that lot. But if I buy a lot for 10 grand and then 5 years later want to sell it for 20 grand and make 20% a year return on my money, it's easier to sell a lot for 20 grand because millions of people have 20 grand. Plus, if they don't have 20 grand, I can be their bank and let them make me payments to me for whatever, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever the new buyer can afford. And then I can be their bank and let them buy the land on terms and make an interest income in addition to the profit. So buying cheap lots below 20 grand is one of my top secrets. And I never buy lots on the lakes or golf course anymore, even though I made money on them. I made less money, less percentage return, and it took longer to sell them instead of the inside lots that are not on the lake and golf courses. So it's just one of the things that I had practiced with years and years ago that I finally figured out that don't waste 100 grand for one lot, buy 10 lots for 10 grand. Yeah. And those are easier to sell, like slices of a pizza rather than trying to, sell a whole pizza.
Huh. That's interesting. Now, how do you ensure that the land parcels you select in Bella Vista are undervalued?
Yeah, so I have all the comparable pricing in there for good quality, high quality buildable lots, and the actual comps are showing up between, let's say, 15 to 20,000. So I'm getting offers right now from builders and other people that are trying to buy the lots that I own that I keep. I have some that I keep for myself for long term that I'll be giving to my children when I pass, and I get offers for 14,000, 15,000, and I probably paid 2,000 for them, 10 years ago. So I don't sell them, I keep them. So there's no guarantee that vacant lots will go up in any part of the world, but at the same time, there's no guarantee that stocks or mutual funds will go up. So if I had to place my bet on the stock market, which is not even a tangible asset, or a piece of land in a resort, fast-growing resort, I know that a fast-growing resort is probably safer and much higher return than the stock market and mutual funds like the old days.
Yeah. Plus, there's supply and demand. If there's a lot that people want, they're going to pay you more for it in the long run. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So what does the purchase process look like for an investor buying a Bella Vista land parcel?
Well, obviously, I would need to show them a lot more about, what they're going to get, where's it at, why buy there. So I have a webinar that I have people come on that really showcases not only the secrets and how I do this, but also, where and what they look like, the plat maps, the photos, and what's going on in the subdivision. So I have all that in a webinar that I teach people how to become super wealthy by buying quarter-acre buildable lots in these resorts. And then once that webinar is over, about 99% of their questions would be answered. And then from that point, I would do private consultations to answer all of your questions and make sure that I understand what your goals are. Like, are you looking for long-term growth? You looking for passive income? Or you want to flip lots? Do you want to buy and hold? And what is your goal in mind? Once I know that, I can then recommend how many, what to do with them, and also how to get them sold for passive income either right away or later. So if someone says, Mike, I want to buy them for 12 and I want to put them for sale right away, no problem. We have a team in place that can put them for sale for you. and hopefully get some buyers to come around and get passive income that way by offering them for sale on terms. And so once someone says, Mike, I want to go ahead and proceed, I've got 100 grand or 500 grand or whatever it is, or 30 grand or 12 grand, no problem. We'll help them to get into a vacant lot. We'll make sure it's got a free and clear title. We'll make sure it's buildable. We'll make sure that it's not too small and that there's no boulders blocking the entrance or ravines in the middle. And once we've accomplished all that, it goes into the investor's name completely without me being on title anymore. And then they own it free and clear, and then they can sell it at their leisure or have us help them to sell it.
That's awesome. You make it sound so simple. Like your process, it sounds just so simple. I love it. So
it's simple.
So what factors do you highlight when marketing the land parcels to potential buyers in Bella Vista?
What factors, you said?
Yes.
So are you saying what type of advertising do I do?
What factors do you highlight? So when you're marketing, like, how do you market these parcels? Like if I were looking for a parcel, how would you market it to me?
Yeah, so if I wanted to sell my lots and find a buyer, I would put them on Craigslist. I would put a sign on the property. I would list it with a realtor. I would put ads everywhere possible on the internet. And then I would say 0 down, 100% financing, no credit check, everyone approved. And that would draw in people. And some people would say, no, I don't want to finance it. I just want to give you the money and I want to buy it. That's okay too. Some people would say, look, I don't have any money to put down. I would rather just make you payments and eventually get the title after 4, 5, or 6 years when it's paid for. So no matter what, it's pretty easy to do.
Awesome. And do you highlight like the amenities? And for someone like me who, before you and I got on this call, I had no idea that I could buy a parcel of land in Bella Vista and have access to everything. So do you educate them on that as well?
Yeah, we have the exact ad copy, which would say very simply, resort property for sale, quarter-acre, buildable lot, 8 lakes, 7 golf courses, 5 swimming pools, 12 tennis courts, paved roads, utilities, good churches, good schools, good banks, and then 0 down, 100% financing, no credit check, everyone approved. Copy and paste. We'll give it to you.
That's awesome. All right, Michael, this has been so informative. Like I've learned so much in the last 30 minutes talking to you. Like if someone wants to find you, where can they find you?
Well, I'm going to give out my personal cell phone. Not that I'm too busy to take a call, but still, I would still want to make sure people have access to me. So if you text me on my cell phone, I'll be able to not only invite you to one of our webinars, so you can actually see what the lots look like. You can see the comparable prices. You can see exactly what the roads look like, what the houses look like in there, the churches, the schools, everything I can show you on a webinar. So my cell phone number is area code 954-258-6954. That's 954-258-6954. Now, if you have a lot of questions and you want to do a Zoom call with me as a consultation, you can hop on my calendar and we'll go through your current portfolio, like what do you have now in stocks and mutual funds or annuities or bonds or cash, and where are your IRAs, where is your 401k plan at, even a current 401k plan. You can borrow up to $50,000 from your current 401k plan and use that to buy, 4 lots. So I'd be glad to help people. You can get on my calendar by going to www.meetwithmichael, MICHAEL, Poggi, POGGI.com, meetwithmichaelpoggi.com, or text me on my cell.
Awesome. Well, Michael, I know that you're a busy guy. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. And
thank you, Janine. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. And then for my audience, make sure you reach out to Michael if you're interested in learning how to invest in vacant lots. And thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Make sure you hit subscribe to the Coffee in the Green Room podcast, because you never know what you're going to learn next here on Coffee in the Green Room. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode. Make sure you hit subscribe.
Thank you, Janine and Michael. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.